to get it on my own. Had to get it on my own. Had to get it on my own.
Okay. So I'm here with Malachi. I'm Sophia Hayes.
What's good? What's good?
Thank you for having me over, allowing me in your space. I really appreciate
Of course,
that.
man.
My first question I was thinking of when I got over here was going to ask you if you do the guitar in your production, but I've seen all the guitars around the house, and I think it's safe to assume that you do. So how long have you been doing music for? Or how did you get into music?
All right. So when I was like a kid, right, I must have been like, I was like 3 or 4 years old, I think. So my parents, they used to always just, hear me like bang and stuff. So percussion was like the primary. And then I moved out. Well, not moved out, but I moved to Fairfield, and then Fairfield became like, it was just almost like everything was aligned for me. You know what I'm saying? I had a neighbor who was also a musician. She was a kid, and like she went to the churches and stuff. So, she was a drummer for the church. So, what are the odds? I'm a kid that didn't know anything, but just had a spirit of doing something. And then, so, we became friends. She was like, hey, you should come over to my house and, do whatever. I was like, all right, cool. And I seen her little drum set set up. I'm like, what? That's crazy.
So about this time, how old were you? Like,
must have been about like 6, 7.
Oh, also like really young.
Probably like 7.
Where did you move from?
I was living in Berkeley. So
okay. So not too far.
Yeah, it was.
But that's a big change.
Yeah, it was a huge change. My to be a little bit honest about that, my mom passed away, so that was about like 6 or 7. That's when me and my dad we decided to come out here to Fairfield, and then yeah, that's when I met my friend, and then she was miraculously an amazing drummer, and I'm sitting there just like, yo, like
inspired.
Yeah, who are you?
That's
That became a very tight-knit relationship. We became really close. Damn near just, she would come over, like our playtime, our hangout time would be like, hey, you want to make some music or something?
That's
you want to jam out? So my dad was so cool about it. We had a little house, when we first moved out here. And he was just so cool about it. He was just like, your mom passed away. You don't really have any friends. I kind of just put you in a new environment. Nobody, no one knows you. You know what I'm saying? So thank God this person was like, hey, I want to be a helpful, advocate for you. So basically, I just followed everything she did. And, I was just hearing her play drums, and then I convinced my dad to buy me a drum set for Christmas, and he did. And ever since then, I just was banging on the drums for like every day. And after that became a bore. I was just like, damn, I want to do some stuff. I want to do other stuff. And then I was like, man, I want to be singing. I realized I wasn't a singer at that time. And then I was like, you know what? My dad had a guitar.
Excuse me.
Bless you. My dad had a guitar. And he bought it because he was planning to, take lessons and whatnot from, the musicians. There was a little local store called Gordon Music.
That's right downtown, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right downtown. And they do guitar lessons and piano lessons and vocal lessons, all the above, Then that wasn't happening for my dad. He was just like, yeah, I'm not really this great. Like, I thought this was a lot easier than it was when I, picked it up. So I realized here's this
it's a
guitar.
cat over there. I don't know if you can see the cat in the frame, but
I don't know if you can see that. But here's this guitar that he has. His name is Blue. He had this guitar, and I was sitting there just collect dust. It was just sitting there on the table, and my dad was like, "Yo, you can play it if you want." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, but you got to make sure you don't mess it up. You got to keep it together, and you got to tune it. And you know what all this stuff means?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Well, you better find a friend and go tell you."
That's cool that he was very encouraging though.
Yeah.
Of your interests.
Of course, yeah. My dad is such a huge inspiration on everything. That's probably why I even stuck to this long. I think really reason why is because I've attempted to do the things that my dad was doing when he was a kid, like doing a bunch of sports and whatnot. And then like you realize he was like, yeah, my son's not really that like he's good, like he's cool, he's tall and everything, but he's not the one that is gonna take this seriously. Like I can tell like when he's like doing nothing, he's gonna be playing guitar or playing some drums or he's gonna be doing like.
So you went from drums, guitar, and then you went to singing, or?
Actually, it was drums. It was I completely missed this whole part, but it was piano after the drums.
After the drums.
Yeah, because my neighbor, she was a drummer, but her cousin was a piano player. So they used to always have this piano, in the house, and then because of her cousin encouraged her to be like, yo, you should take piano lessons, and then so because of her cousin inspired her, and then she inspired me to go. So after that, that's when I started taking little piano, courses and whatnot. And I met the church people. They were like, "Yo, this is how you do it." I was basic. I didn't really know like no classic music or nothing. To be honest with you, I don't remember a lot of notes that I was once taught. Everything's sonically just like in my brain. Like I can just remember it.
You're just in tune.
Yeah, I can just. It's it's kind of hard to explain that.
I mean that's really dope. But to do everything by ear, because it's these days with technology, like you can literally Google like tutorial, like it's so easy to learn shit now. And to think like back then people were just spinning records back trying to emulate that sound, which isn't that to me is crazy.
That is crazy. Actually, I had a buddy of mine, and he's a DJ. And when I became a freshman in high school, I used to go to my buddy's house, and his brother was the DJ, so his older brother, and we used to always hear him scratching, like every time we would walk to his house, so we would just hear like a block away, whatever, all those little scratches, and I didn't get it. I was just like, why are we listening to this? Why is this a thing?
Funny.
And then eventually, I got older, got a little bit more educated, and I realized that, damn, bro, what was I missing? Like, this is some dope shit, Yeah,
so. That's crazy. That's funny.
Yeah.
So, I went and searched your music on Spotify, and I see your first album came out. I don't know if you call it an album. Would you call it an EP or album? Or?
Yeah, it was all.
So it's 2008, summer of 2018. So did you have music prior to that? Did you have stuff on like SoundCloud or?
Yeah, we had a lot of stuff. It was just primarily demos and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would consider them not demos because at that time I was thinking like, yo, this is the shit. I'm about to fucking blow this city away. Like, they're never gonna know. Like, they're gonna just, unexpectedly just be like, what? Who is this kid? Didn't turn out that way. So I was
it never does, right? You always think yes.
My ambitions were way too far.
They have to be though to even pursue. I feel like you gotta be a little crazy. You have to kind of think that to even get your first, get the courage to even do some shit like that.
Exactly.
I totally get it.
That's the only one I was like, yo, I'm about to fucking knock these guys out of the way. But what was the question before? You said something.
No, I was just wondering if there was music prior to that because I know my first project, me thinking if this is his first project, he sounds way better than I did when I put my first shit out. Because so I was just a little impressed if that was.
Okay, so
was it Airbase Parkway,
yeah,
right?
Airbase Parkway. So I basically took Airbase Parkway that project was I'm about to come get you, like after you. This is just subconsciously, generally speaking, no directive, but this was me saying, all right, you left, you forgot me.
Mm-hmm.
I see you. Okay, I'll be quiet, but when I come out, I don't want to hear nothing. You know what I'm saying? That was that project.
Just a chip on your shoulder.
It was a big chip on my shoulder because I had a lot of stuff that went down before that. I was in a rock band. A lot of people don't know that.
No, I did not know that.
I used to be in a rock band. I was a front man of this rock band. That's why a lot of my musicianship comes from like a very rock base. Like you'll hear hip hop, you'll hear a little bit of some rock guitar sound in there.
I really like that about your sound. How you incorporate the guitar in your production. It's really dope to me.
That's exactly what I want people to know. Like, I'm not just a rapper. I'm a go into it and dissect everything. Mm-hmm. Because I love I'm just a nerd like that. I love doing stuff where I know that I actually made a small little tweak to make something just change the whole dynamic of everything. Is gonna make it change. But yeah, back to what we were saying. I was in a band prior to creating Airbase Sparkly. So
Okay.
yeah, I had a huge chip on my shoulder. I was on a peak. My high was a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. When I was in that band, I was a little bit. I was the fucking man. Like I felt like I was the man. Things were happening quick. It was almost like the rise of a startup, thing. And I was sitting there noticing things that I was not aware of at first. And I was sitting there like, why are people like asking me for autographs now? Like, why are people hitting me up for shows? And I didn't know the caliber of where I was at because I was so new to the game that I was sitting there just like, I already had a huge blessing in my hands that I didn't realize at the time, But
How old are you at that time?
I was about 20.
Oh yeah, so that's
20,
that's young. That's
30,
young.
20, somewhere around there.
So I have a similar experience of first getting into music and like not realizing like, oh shit, things are actually going really fast,
Right.
and then it all kind of just crumbling down.
Crumbling fast, like, and that's the thing. They would not be shy about letting you know about that. Like, they're like, yo, dude, where's your shit? Like, where's your music? Like,
Yeah.
Who you messing with nowadays? Are you on tour? Or what are you doing?
Yeah, I totally can relate to that.
Yeah.
So you were frontman for this rock band.
Yeah.
Were you already kind of rapping at this point, or is that something that happened a little bit later? Or?
I was I was afraid of my own voice. That's the problem. Like, my buddy Joey, that's my best friend. Joey, which was this dude. I don't know if the camera can get this at all, but he was also the frontman as well. We were a tag team. He was more like, it was a hardcore group. So we screamed, we did like all types of varieties. So there's Little Mama right there. And I pretty much just tried to figure out where I could put my place in. Like I had to figure out, well, who do I want to be?
Alright, so not a marching band. You were
Yes.
like rock band in high school.
It was a rock band. So it was almost like I was just like, wow, bro, like this is kind of cool. I finally found where I wanted to be at. I found like I had fun. And I was just sitting there just like, wow, dude, like I think I want to really push myself further. I want to push myself to a place where I can go and travel places that I've never been to. And I'm looking at these other guys. My buddy Joey, he's the reason why, we basically did everything that we did during high school. You know what I'm saying? And high school was such an important time because I learned majority of the shit that I already kind of know right now. You know what I'm saying? Already back in high school when I was like 14, 15 years old. So it was like, now, as I got older and I was like, oh shit, I gotta pay bills now? Oh fuck, I gotta drive and I gotta organize a business. What is this? Like, I already had that stuff given to me. People were doing it. Our parents.
Yeah.
Our parents were so supportive of us. My dad bought me a car when I was a kid. He even lended his van at the time so we can use it just to tour and do whatever we wanted to do. And he was just so cool and gracious about it. So I was just so, like, I was really blessed to be in a situation where things were just kind of naturally just, the road was paved for me. I just had to follow that road, And but then you grow older. You tend to get into things. I started drinking, smoking, meeting women. Traveling, doing random shit I probably wouldn't.
Living your life.
Just living my life, doing drugs I probably shouldn't have done, but it's all right.
It happens to the best of us.
Right. It happens to the best of us.
Is there anybody that I guess that you wanted to kind of emulate as far as whether it was like a career path or maybe a style or anyone that you kind of want, or like that's where I want to be?
Yeah. So basically, like a lot of the other people, they used to hit me up. And they used to be like, yo, dude, like, you sound a little bit like Miguel or something like that. I don't know why, but I was just like, yeah, I can kind of see where you're getting at on that. I don't really...
That's interesting, because that was never... Listening to your music and hearing some of your melodies, I would say there's a similarity, just a small similarity between, like, a little bit of, like, Ty Dolla $ign. that's what I pick.
I feel that.
Miguel's dope. You're dope.
Miguel.
But I wouldn't have. I put you.
But
next
Ty
to
Dolla
him.
$ign is for sure like an inspiration as well. So predominantly, like when I first started, like Airbase Sparkler.
Mhm.
So I'm a huge fan of HBK Gang. It's on my wall.
I can definitely
Yeah.
hear. I agree with. I'm gonna say that was another thing that I could see a comparison, especially
for
with
sure.
your inflections, similar to like I Am Sue a little bit.
I Am Sue is definitely like he. Okay, so when I was in elementary school, I had no idea, but I guess I just didn't realize my environment at the time. But I went to school with Sage the Gemini, so me and Sage we were in the same elementary. Then he kind of hopped around and went to other different schools, and then after a while, I didn't realize I was hanging out with him when we were like walking buddies going home from school, from high school, and like so things were kind of already there. You know, I don't know if you knew, but I'm sure you knew. Taji Spitz, you know, I used to go to school with him.
I didn't know. I'm a big Taji fan. He's yeah.
Backstory: not a lot of people know about this, but when me and Taji were in school together, that motherfucker was bad. He was bad. Like he was always getting in trouble, but he was always about his fucking music.
Yeah,
like, that was one thing.
That man is talented.
Yeah.
It's fun. Well, how I got in connect with him is I started writing him in jail.
Okay.
So we actually met after that, like one time. But yeah, he's dope. He's so underrated and and I think he's still, man. I can go on and on about how dope Taji is.
Taji. This is a story that I probably was able to witness. I don't think anyone's ever really experienced it, or maybe someone has experienced it. But when I was in high school, one day we was passing periods, right? And you know, I see Taji. He was one of those guys. He wasn't really caring about getting to the next period. He was more of like, all right, ding, bell rings. He just walks out. He's like, just rapping to himself. He just had a swagger about everything that he did. And he just started rapping. I'm like, damn, is that all he do? Like, didn't know, like, you know, he had a vision. Like, he was ready to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And basically, I remember seeing him. I kind of, you know, I was eavesdropping on him. Just curious, you know, young boy that was starting his little rock band on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sitting there listening, and he's just like rapping to himself. He was spitting bars, and then I looked at his composition book. He had a composition book. He carried that shit every day. You know, there's white on the page. He actually had small ass handwriting and cleared every white part of that page until he moved to the next page. All lyrics.
Damn.
That's why I was like, yo, brother, who are you?
That's
who are
crazy.
You? So
That's a thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, that inspired me so much that I had to reanalyze a lot of things that I was doing musically and how I was writing it. And my really, it was my drive. Like, I took his drive and I kind of threw it into me. And I was like, you know, this is something I don't even think he knows that I was aware of, but I'm, you know, if Taji, if you ever watch this video, bro, and you stumble across YouTube or whatever this is gonna be on, bro, I respect the shit out of you, man. I wish you didn't have to go to jail and go through all that extra stuff, but Fairfield needs you to.
The world
needs you. Exactly. The world definitely needs you to expand, and I'm here to be that advocate for you too. So, salute to you, bro.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I'm glad. It's dope to see someone tangible and give you that type of inspiration to go for it, to grind hard.
Yeah.
So I want to first talk about Airbase Parkway a little bit. I think what I found a couple things that are interesting. Obviously, you can definitely tell you're from the Bay Area. Like especially in that first album, I can definitely see the influences. Do you think that was something intentional, or it's just because you're growing up here? That just is naturally just gonna come out?
When I was in high school, I was a freshman in high school. This girl asked me, "Damn, bro, you know Mac Dre died?" I was like, "Who the hell is that?"
That's crazy.
I didn't know who Mac Dre was. And to be honest with you, until I became a senior, that's when I really started understanding it a little bit. But Bay Area music, I wasn't really the guy to be so hung over on Bay Area music. To be honest, I didn't really like it when I first started listening to music. I didn't like it.
It's a very you know, it's bigger than just the music. You know,
Right.
it's like such a way of life.
Yeah.
So if you are in, I can totally understand the disconnect of you being in the rock band.
Yeah.
And that wasn't.
It threw me off, and everyone was like sitting there like, bro, you need to go YouTube some stuff and go look into some things and come back and we can talk. So I was like, all right. So I did my studies, you know, it took me a minute. And then I realized, I was like, yo, bro, this shit is living in me. I already knew. I just didn't know I had it already, you know? Because the reason why, here's one thing I knew. And I told my wife this too. I said, you know, before I start any of my projects, it's not about where I'm coming from. It's about where I want to be at.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I go into a project or whatever song or beat I make, I always imagine myself walking into this place, right? I'm walking, right? And then I'm casually like hearing the music from afar. I'm just like, okay. And I'm just hearing it in my head. I'm just like, ugh. And I can feel the swag. I can feel it just want to make me want to move. Makes me want to like naturally just feel a part of it. And if whatever I'm making makes me feel that way, that's how I know that I'm fucking with it for sure.
That's dope.
And someone else could probably fuck with it as well. So that's just how I do it. And I think Bay Area definitely has that impact because, you know, I get these types of thoughts because when I went into clubs in the Bay Area or house parties, you know, I remember when I went to a random Roach Gigs party and I had no idea he was there. You know what I mean? Like, and I was sitting there, I'm just like, yo, bro, you're Roach Gigs? He was like, yeah, what's good, homie? And I'm like, oh shit, this is crazy, you know? But those vibes, because I remember that moment before I got into the house, it was just Bay vibes. Like, it wasn't the stuff you heard on the radio yet.
No,
it was more underground Bay, but it was so dope. You know what I mean? And
that was that time period. I meant like in my high school years too. It was just like it was you were either listening to like Lil Wayne or Barry. Yeah.
Lil Wayne was huge. Like, and I remember this dude, this dishwasher I used to fuck with. Well, he used to work with me at the time, and he never listened to anything at all. All he listened to was straight Lil Wayne.
Oh shit.
I don't think he's actually listened to anything else in front of me. It was all Lil Wayne. Just what was it? Carter.
The dedication to all the mixtape.
It was the one where it was like a red. I think it was red, or no, it was gray.
Oh, that's the 2. That's Carter 2.
Yeah, the Carter 2. And I just remember this man used to just rap bar to bar, and he just remembered everybody but Lil Wayne. And I hated Lil Wayne at that time. I was like, who the hell is this guy? I was a hater, man. Like,
you were so anti.
I was like, fuck this.
That's
this.
funny.
I make my own shit, you know? Now, until I got educated, trust, I was sitting there like worshiping Wayne because I was like, yo.
So who were you listening to growing up then? Because it doesn't seem like hip hop was really like your forte in the beginning.
Hell no. I was such a rockhead. I was so into experimentation stuff. Like, I was listening to Blink when I first started, you know, really messing with anything. Blink 182. I was messing with Deftones. I was messing with, you know, From First to Last. These are like bands that I was really into back in the day. So my influence was super heavy on the rock game. I was more into technicality, and I was looking into like things that made me want to just not be so eager to be there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it took courage for me to be inside of in a rock building, predominantly white people, but I was engaged because I knew and understood the music. Mm-hmm. Now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't disengaged with my own people and my own music and like hip hop and whatnot, but I just resonate. I was more so like it just felt better for some reason. Now, when I grew older, and then my first concert was a suit, like hip hop concert was a suit concert. I Am Sue. The Sue.
I Am Sue. Your first hip hop, your first show was the I Am Sue and seeing the movement and wanting to be a part of it. Part of something like that. Yeah,
so I went to I Am Sue, and first of all, I heard about I Am Sue because of my old manager. Mm-hmm. My manager actually, you know, he managed my last big band, which was It Starts with Alaska, and he also managed Starting Six, and he also managed...
Oh, man, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Right. And he also knew a young guy named Pilo You know, he also knew another young guy named Derek King. And he also knew another young guy, Special K.
You speaking all these things makes me feel like we probably crossed paths at one point.
We probably
around the same time is the same time, like, that's crazy.
Everything kind of popped off. I used to perform a lot at the Red House in Walnut Creek.
Yeah.
That was when Sue and everybody was starting to get their movement. And I was just seeing from afar, like, yo, these guys are all independent, but they all rocking with each other.
Yeah.
And I want to be something like that. Like, I want my group of friends, like, yeah, because it was just hard for me to connect a band together because, you know, everybody, you got to find the right musician. You got to make sure they're serious. You got to make sure they got some money, a vehicle, some type of storage space, somewhere they can kind of rely on.
A lot more things to think about.
Yeah, they got a lot of attachments they need to have. So it's just like, for me, if I'm coming to any situation, you got to have some shit for yourself for me to accomplish whatever I'm trying to do as well, because, you know, I've already been through that. You know, I've already dealt with certain things, but when it comes to just having your stuff together and for me to communicate or do whatever I need to do business-wise, you got to have that stuff together. So, but it was really hard for me to stick to the band, but I saw I Am Sue's camp and I was like, yo, I want to do that. And that's what made me go into Embrace Parkway. Okay. And I saw Sage do it. I'm like, yo, Sage is from
that was insane, seeing Sage. Because I went to high school, because he went to so many different high schools. But I went to Rowland for a little bit. And seeing that happen, that was like, that was crazy. Like, really seeing that in real time.
Right.
It was just insane.
I almost didn't believe it in the beginning, because I was like, you're that guy? You're that? You're him? And then he was like, yeah. I remember when I was working at Applebee's. Shout out to Applebee's. Boneless wings. But
fucking Applebee's.
he came in there and he was just like acting like such a superstar.
Was he?
Yeah, like almost like he was just trying to purposely do it. But it was funny because I was kind of roasting him, because we used to roast each other, just our humor. So he came in there and looking like he was just like trying to hide away from paparazzi. And he's like looking, he's like, yeah, can I get a table for the 3? Looking around.
And Sage is fucking tall. He's a big ass man.
You're gonna stick out no matter what.
Even if it was, that's funny. That's just so funny to imagine.
Right. So he's over there doing his thing. He's like, and then he reminds me. This is another backstory, sidetrack, but he reminds me. He's like, hey, you don't know who I am, huh? I was like, what? Who are you? He's like, Sage. I'm like, no, I don't think. Who's Sage? He's like, remember Dominic? I'm like, Dominic? Dominic who? He's like, bro, you used to walk home with me and my brothers. And I'm like, I did? He's like, yeah, remember when we used to go to Fairfield? And I was like, where? He's like, off of Dover. I'm like, wait. He's like, yeah, that's me. I'm tall now.
I'm tall now. That's funny.
I was just like, oh, snap, bro. He's like, yeah, I got that gas pedal song. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. That song's going crazy on the radio. He's like, I know. And I was like, that's dope, man. I'm proud of you. He's like, yeah. And I was like, you know what? I just had a little brain blast to me. And I was like, yo, wait, I'm making music. Like, he was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, well,
all right, bye.
Go give me my moments. So I was like, all right.
That's hella funny. So another thing I want to point out on Airbase Parkway is you talk about a lot of different content as opposed to the 2 projects after that. More so what I'm trying to get at is talk about police brutality.
Right.
You also talk about, hey Remy.
What's up, yo?
You talk about police brutality. You also talk about how you do have a song. I think I want to say it's called James. Yeah. We talk about how love is more important than money. Yeah. And then I definitely see the whole, Jesus Christ. Definitely see the whole, hold on, let's let Remy get through.
Damn, dog.
I'm trying to sneak by. No one saw me, right?
I don't think anyone noticed you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought. But I definitely hear the chip on your shoulder mentality. It's a little bit less singy too compared to your other to projects in my head. What I've picked up on that.
Yeah.
But what made you was something going? I mean, you talk about Trump being president. You touch on all these different things.
Yeah.
Was that something? I mean, clearly everybody was very affected by that. But
there's a lot of stuff.
I kind of want to get more into your mindset. What your mindset was when you were making that project.
So Airbase Parkway. So there's a whole little deeper meaning behind Airbase Parkway. It's not only where. So to people who do not know where Airbase Parkway
Thank you,
is,
because that was another.
right. So Airbase Parkway is actually, it's a road. It's a highway. It's like it's an old town road. Shout out to that.
No pun intended.
Nah, it's whatever. But it's an old town road in Fairfield, which takes you to our air base, which is a military base for Air Force. So, but what I took from that and why I even decided to use that title was because a lot of people used to tell me, yo, you live on the other side, or you live on this side, are you from, but I took it as Airbase Parkway is going to always lead you to where you need to go. You can go to the hood, or you can take you down to the suburbs, and you can go down this path and you can stick to it, and you can see a crazy transition on how people are living, so I took it as I'm the middle division, which is Airbase Parkway, because I don't really see just one side. I see both sides of the story. And Fairfield is such a colorful type of city. You just gotta kind of figure out, and I came from a pretty blessed situation, and then I kind of tapped into the very impoverished types of situations, and also even moving up further than that, but then also coming down. So it's just a lot of different feelings involved when it comes to growing up. Now, to answer the question about, where the police, brutality as well. So my song "Police Don't Like Us," I pretty much got arrested. I got arrested for, drinking and driving. So I pretty much got a DUI. But the thing was, I didn't get a DUI. I got a wet and reckless. That's what the court got me on.
I unfortunately know the difference between the two.
Right,
Yeah.
So I got arrested by these two white guys, these white officers, and they were they were doing their stuff. But the thing was, try to make a long story short, I was helping out a buddy, but I didn't drink. I only drank like a beer, one little glass of beer. It was like really nothing. I wasn't tipsy. I wasn't drunk. I didn't even plan to do that because I had to go home, because I had to work early in the morning that next day. So I get pulled over. Actually, I didn't get pulled over. I was already pulled over on the side of the road because my buddy, he was already puking, and I didn't want him to do it in my car.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much like the cops, they just showed up and rolled up on me, and I was so coherent. I knew everything. I was aware. I was fully aware, and basically they just didn't care at all. They just threw me on the side of the car, put me in cuffs, told me I had to go to the house. And I was like, all right. And then this other female, I'm over here. I'm a very, very, when it comes to my self-rights, my politics, and who I am as a person, especially an African-American male in these times, I'm going to fight. I'm going to stand up for myself. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm not going to sit there and try to physically cause more harm to my situation, but I want to voice my opinion. Mm-hmm. And if you don't like it, then go fuck yourself. Mm-hmm. So pretty much the other female officer didn't like that and decided to assault me in their station. But was I able to give any rights out of it? No. So pretty much I had to get a lawyer, do all this other stuff.
Damn.
Things just didn't come out right. But
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, long story short, it's alright. But long story short, the day I got out of jail, I wrote that song in literally 2 hours.
You were just
I was just
pissed.
so pissed. Yeah, I was pissed. But that song definitely made me wanna because I was challenging myself. I was watching a Mustard video, and he over here talking about how he's putting out like 10 to 15 songs in 2 hours. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? How can you do this? So that song was another challenge for me mentally to tell myself I can make a song within 2 hours. So I can do something quicker than my normal agenda of how I create songs, So I just used that experience, and I channeled it in, and it made it, made that song, and a real experience. And I hope people actually could relate to it because I know there's a lot of, you know, injustice situations, you know. So I felt I was kind of stabbed in the back. I felt like America kind of threw me to the wolves that night. And Bad Bit, my first, actually, yeah, Bad Bit was that. No, that's the second song off that album, right? Airbase Parkway? Bad Bit?
Second track or first
Video
video
release?
release?
Intro, right? Or was it?
There, here, let me check real
I
quick.
kind of forgot.
Let me see.
But, yeah, I can't remember.
You have, yeah,
That was the first one.
that was the first one.
Okay, so Bad Bit was basically the situation that
Oh shit, that was close.
the situation of America and how it's going wrong. You know,
I think that's the song where you address
Yeah.
Trump being president.
right? All we want to do is be free.
Yeah,
I'm tired
okay,
of this.
thank you. You tried to remember this. Like, I remember that.
All we want to do is be free. Man, I'm tired of the shootings on the streets. Dr. King taught us better than that. Even Malcolm said, "Stay out the trap." So pretty much all these things that we were already told about, we still don't listen as Americans, and we still don't fight for our freedom. I pretty much just said, you know, I'm gonna write this song. I'm gonna address it about what I feel about politics right now. Like, I'm not happy. None of us is happy about how Trump has been. You know, I'm black and I'm proud. I'm also, you know, some other type of whatever I'm concoct with, you know, and I'm proud of that, you know. And if you are, or if you relate to that, then that song is definitely for you. And, you know, and in Mexico, you know, Mexico pays a huge contribution to American soil. So it's just like, you know, you can't say nothing, you know, especially when people from all types of backgrounds planted the seeds for us to eat from it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so that song was definitely for that. You know, I just wanted to make sure people just understood what I was feeling. So.
Do you think, as an artist, to an extent, you have a responsibility to talk about things like this?
Not always, because I don't want to like bite off too much I can chew. You know.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
I'm not no politician. My dad, on the other hand, is. You know, my dad is he has a huge background when it comes to politics. You know, especially on you know, just he's an impeccable guy. Like, this guy is he's dope. So,
I like that I've heard you in different albums mention things that you've learned from like your dad, and I think that's really dope. Especially with the narrative, I feel like in hip hop of like absent fathers.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that you make sure to let it be known that you have such a great relationship with your dad.
My dad is definitely like, because of that idea of the narrative of just not growing up with your father, just not growing up with or if you're in a single parent home, or if you're in you know, you got guardians, or, you know, just like grandparents or whatever, whoever's raising you, other than the typical Americana like type of family, you know, mom, dad, mom's a doctor, dad's a lawyer, you know, you're going to college, everybody's just happy as hell, but it's not like that. So I basically just try to like show like my community, like, look, like, my dad's pretty awesome, you know, he's kind of you know, he can get a little mouthy, but he's awesome, and he speaks the truth, and that's the best thing I can ever tell people. Like look, like, shit, enough about me. You know, the reason why I have these feelings, these ideas, because I got an amazing guy that a lot of people don't have the privilege to have.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, look, like, you know, I don't want you to envy me. I want you to learn from it, because you can do the same thing for your children. You know, like, that's what I plan to do. You know. My kids right now, they're knuckleheads, but I love them, and I'm gonna do the same thing as I did when I was learning. You know, just trying to instill everything and just throw it into another bundle. You know, just be like, oh, here, you can take this, go be somebody. You know what I mean? go be something greater. So I'm just he told me to be great, so I'm just like, look, you guys be great too. You know, so for sure, yeah.
Salute to your dad.
Huh?
So salute to your dad.
Yeah, salute to my dad. Yeah, my dad's pretty awesome. I love him.
So then you have, what I noticed, it was about 4 or 5 months in between your first project and your second project, and I think there was a lot of. I did, man. I was listening. So you drew, so
no
the transition. I think there was so much growth in between those. It kind of felt like your second project, you really got into your own pocket.
Oh yeah.
Like sonically.
I think sonically, yeah, for sure. Because I was like sitting there like, I heard what I did wrong, and then I was like, I'm not gonna do that again, and then I'm gonna do it better. And I already had like a bunch of other songs I was already ready to kind of like, you know. And the first track is actually called "I Love You," and he's on it. String Seater's on it. Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about that song because you kind of talk about navigating the music and the career with trying to maintain a relationship.
Hell yeah.
How is that? How have you learned from that? You're married now, so
First of all, my wife is right here, so you know,
pressure.
I hope she understands that I mean well. I love you, baby. I love you. But yeah, so that album, a lot of it was definitely during a relationship period. Actually, Air Base Parkway was actually written throughout a relationship I was going through, and it's funny because, you know, a lot of the things that I wrote about was a past experience, but I also use past experiences and I throw little bits and pieces from past moments and I just put it into a story to create my lyrics. And sometimes it's like it could be a full scoop of everything, but it's really just experiences thrown into a bubble and just doing it together and just like, here you go. These are pretty much the average like moments I'm sure somebody can feel for somebody, or maybe someone felt badly about, or whatever, you know. But my first album was pretty much written through a relationship, but at that extent, at that point in time, like, what was it? Unconditional. That was my second album. Yeah. That was basically just, I was actually with her, and a lot of things were going down. You know, I'm not gonna put that on the surface, but we patched it. You definitely, like, looking at the, like, because I'm looking at the track list to kind of remind myself what everything sounded like. But yeah, you could definitely tell you were going through shit. And then I think when we get to the third album, which is like still in that same pocket, it's like, because I accidentally listened to them out of order. I was trying to listen in sequence. Oh, okay. But I actually accidentally went to, God, what's the third one called? The one you dropped last year. Oh, No Mercy. Oh, yeah, so I ended up listening to No Mercy first, and then I went back to Unconditional. Okay. But No Mercy, I was like, oh, this is Love Bug. You got bit, right? You got Curves, Girlfriend, which I really like Girlfriend a lot. Thank you. Actually, I like your second project a lot, actually. Okay. But in the intro, which I heard you play at your last show, right. I didn't realize that was that shit's dope. I remember if I can remember it, huh? How do you? I'm trying to remember this one. Something like that. Yeah. So at this point, when I got to that, I was like, I already had in my head, I was like, oh, he does his guitar. He has to, especially if you just let this play in the intro, like, that has to be you. Yeah. Which, man, that shit's fire. That, That's dope. I just tend to, like, I honor the musicians. You know, I want people to understand, like, yo, the beat's fire. Like, that's dope. And the lyrics are fire, too. But, you know, a lot of these artists, these rappers right now, they're hot because they got a dope-ass producer in the back spending hours and hours on end just to make sure that they look good. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes it could be the swag from the artist as well. But really, it's the vibe of what you're giving to the. You do all your production? Yeah, everything, period, 100%. That's just. You gotta check this guy out, dude. I appreciate that. But Gloomy, I gotta give it to Gloomy too, because Gloomy, that was like my first. Well, actually, no, I take that back. I have the homie, a couple other few homies before him, but Gloomy was another guy that I was like, all right, I'm not really like eager to wanting to work with people with music because I'm a perfectionist and I'm a little critical and a little cool. It's hard to work with me sometimes. I choose to work independently because I have so many different like concepts that I'm trying to perceive and paint a picture for. So but I do encourage trying to connect with more people. But Gloomy was one of those guys, and I finally was able to like work with him. We did Wavy together. He's really dope. Gloomy's really talented. Yeah, he did a lot of stuff for me to like feel hey, I'm not alone. You know, like I can actually go ahead and understand that someone else knows how to do this too. So I'm like, it was almost like I was living in a world where no one understood my language. So it was just like, I was searching for that. You know, Unconditional was definitely the album for me to push that. And of course, you know, I was in, you know, in a relationship. I was in a relationship for all of those albums. And No Mercy was when I got married. So No Mercy was really the part where, you know, my wife and I, we started really falling deeply for each other, and we were just sitting there just like, wow, you know. And Girlfriend was really me telling her, I want to be a boyfriend. And then I'm sitting there just like, little lady, you know, I'm just thinking in my mind, I'm thinking like, you know, here's what I'm feeling before I'm with you. I want you to know that I want to be you. I want to be there with you. And who would have thought I got married? You know, I didn't know I was gonna get all that. But at the same time, those are real feelings from a real place that inspired a real situation for me. So that's why I want people to realize, like,
And now
this is
you
more
have
than
that to reflect. You can always listen back to those songs
Yeah.
and a little pinpoint.
Yeah.
That's just beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
Like a timeline or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's dope.
Yeah.
I love seeing love, so I'm sappy like that.
It's alright.
But I think man, there's a lot more I want to talk to you about, but we got to do another one.
Yeah.
Thank you again for letting me into your home.
Yeah. It's cool.
And how can people find you? What's because you actually spell your name very interesting. So
Yeah, no.
it's between spaces, so it's M space A space.
All spaces. Malaki. So all spaced out letters. So like, yeah, you can also do, you know, you go on Instagram, it's Malachi. It's not Malaki. You know, a lot of people, the Filipinos, Malaki, that means big.
Really?
Yeah. And I actually took that because I was like, because whenever I used to, our little girls here, whenever I used to speak to a Filipino, you know, I told them my stage name is Malachi, and they're like, oh, like Malaki? Like, how you spell it? And then they tell me Malaki means big, and I'm like, oh, that kind of works out. That's like a play on play.
Yeah.
Because I'm already tall, so I guess that worked out.
That's
but anyway, yeah, but find me on social media, it's Malachi. I predominantly do everything on Instagram, so like all my releases, I tend to do. I mean, I'm okay on YouTube, but I like Instagram. It's just funner.
Everyone has their preferred where it feels more like natural for
Just
them.
feels better.
Yeah, thank you again. Check his music out. I'm gonna post your links and stuff in the description and all that. All right, we're out.
Appreciate that.